otherwise, there's no other way to necessarily know where that data is coming from. It looks the same. One of the things I'm going to show you is this data exploration. And this is very similar to the quick stats that you saw this morning, where I can get quick statistics on columns in tables. All right, and quick analysis on those columns. The nice thing about this, if you've used Enterprise Guide before, is you can do all this and look at the data without adding anything to the project. Normally in Enterprise Guide, whenever you run a task, that task automatically gets added to your project. It's not a big deal. I mean, you can always delete it. You can always just right mouse click and say remove it from the project. But this is kind of nice because you can do a lot of surveying of your data, and none of this necessarily goes in the project. You have to explicitly say, I want this in the project. All right? And what we show here are the tasks and wizards. Tasks look a little bit different than wizards. Tasks have a lot more functionality. Wizards are simpler. Wizards have a next button and guide you through. Tasks have a selection pane, and you are in charge of what type of functionality you want to administer, what properties you want to set. All right. So the tasks are a little bit more robust. The wizards are a little bit easier. Then we talk about stored processes. We're going to be creating a stored process today. And what we want to do is we want to first create a SAS program. Stored process is a SAS program. That SAS program gets registered to the metadata. Or another way to say that is that we save it to the platform. When we save it to the platform, we add some information. Things like the name of it, where it's located, whether it has prompts or not, things like that. And once we do that, once it's saved, it magically then is called a stored process. So when you hear the term stored process, I want you to think of SAS program. But it's a SAS program that is now available to all those client applications. So I can run that program in Excel. I can run that program from a web page. I can run that program from Enterprise Guide. There's a variety of places and ways I can run that program and see the results. All right, so that's the beauty of this stored process. I save it once, and it's available all over the place. All right? That's all I want to say. Oh, now I'm not going to make you write a bunch of code. Remember what I said. In Enterprise Guide, as I'm running through these tasks and creating this project flow, that behind the scenes is generating SAS code. That SAS code is the SAS program that I'm going to turn into a stored process. So you're going to write a lot, well, you're going to make SAS write a lot of code for you, and then you're going to save it as a stored process. All right, so this right here, this is my project flow. Behind all this is a bunch of generated SAS code. That SAS code can then be turned into a stored process, which can then be run in Excel, Word, PowerPoint, Outlook. It can also be run in SAS. I don't know why we don't show it here, but it can also be run from a web page. It can also be run from Internet Explorer or any web browser. All right? This is all the stuff that we've already saved on the platform. We've created some folders on the platform. We've actually saved the stored process out there just for demonstration purposes. We're going to be creating 2 more. We're going to be employees of Chocolate Enterprises, Candy Company. First, we're going to open the server and we're going to look at the Data Explorer, kind of a quick way to get some analysis of your data. Then we're going to use the Query Builder to build a query. And, well, actually, the query is going to be built for us behind the scenes. And then we're going to, after we get what we want and have the output we want and the reports that we want, we're going to turn it all into a stored process. So the first thing we'll do is we'll run this task called characterize data. The sole purpose of that is to try to find out what's in my data. Then, an alternative to that is the Data Explorer. So we kind of compare these two. One is I use a task. The other is I just go into the Explorer and kind of do an ad hoc look at the data. All right? And then I'll create multiple views to query the data. In step 2, I'll create another query using the Query Builder. I'll create a tabular report using the Summary Tables Wizard. And I'll also create a chart. Actually, I think we created something called a tile chart. Maybe something you've never used before. It's kind of an interesting chart. Okay? And the last but not least is I'm going to take everything I did and I'm going to turn it into a stored process. And then after I turn it into a stored process, I'm going to show you how to run it in several different locations. Okay? A pretty exciting afternoon. All right.
Mark?
Yeah. Question?
So, if I understand correctly, if we have, or if I have Enterprise Guide, I'll be able to do all of these things, including connect to a remote server like Oracle, or no? Or is that going to require additional software?
If you have, okay, everything we do, you can do if you have the platform, SaaS platform.